Hi, welcome to Trubritar's videos. I've been receiving a lot of questions from you guys out there about the GTX 295 and its overclocking potential, especially in quad SLI. So today we're going to install two GTX 295s. We're going to water cool them with Koolance VID NX295 water blocks, overclock these cards like the bandits, and see exactly what results we can get. Here are the monstrous graphics cards we're going to be benchmarking with today. These are EVGA's GTX 295 Plus graphics cards, water cooled using Koolance VID NX295 GPU water blocks. We're also going to be using the Koolance ERM 3K4U liquid coolant system. As you can see here today, coolant temperature is 14 degrees C or 57 degrees F. The software we're going to be using for overclocking the GTX 295 in quad configuration is EVGA's Precision graphics tuning software. As you can see here, the core clock is tuned to 756 MHz, shader clock 1649, memory clock 1224. And to check out the durability and reliability of the graphics cards, we're also going to use the GPU voltage tuner that's just been released by EVGA. As you can see here, the default voltage is 1038 millivolts. We're going to be ramping that up to 1188 millivolts and see if those cards can hang on during the test. So let's do a quick run around the Crysis Benchmark. Resolution is set to 1680 by 1050, quality settings are very high. Decided to stay with the 1680 by 1050 resolution today for this particular benchmark. It's a very common and popular resolution, as well as giving you guys out there the ability to do a correct comparison to some of your own benchmarks you can justify, or you can see whether it's realistically worth upgrading to this particular configuration of hardware. So as we come to the end of this demo loop, let's check out the results and see exactly what we can get from this quad SLI configuration. Just for verification, let's check out the quality settings. Everything's set to very high. Resolution 1680 by 1050, no anti-aliasing, 64-bit enabled as well as DX10. So let's check out the results. Minimum frames per second 46.4, maximum 102.88. Let's see what our average is. Overall average of 70.63 frames per second coming off the Crysis Benchmark. Let's jump in and check out Crysis Warhead. I'm sure a lot of you guys are very familiar with this benchmark out there. The Crysis Warhead is a very graphically intensive game, somewhat optimized in comparison to Crysis. So let's run around the benchmark today and see exactly what results we can get. Let's have a look at the results from the Crysis Warhead benchmark. As you can see here, enthusiast settings, DirectX 10, 1680 by 1050, no anti-aliasing, running the Avalanche map. Let's see what the results are. Astounding results coming off this Crysis Warhead benchmark. Minimum 60.35 frames per second, maximum 136.7 or 137 frames per second, average 101.33 frames per second. Again, astounding figures coming off this Crysis Warhead benchmark. Next up is the Far Cry 2 benchmark. Really like this benchmark. It's really graphically intense, as well as gives you good data analysis at the end of the actual benchmark itself. So let's have a quick run around this benchmark using the Long Ranch demo loop and see exactly what results we can get. For verification, these are the settings we're using for today's benchmark. Resolution 1680 by 1050, no anti-aliasing, Direct 3D10 or DirectX 10 enabled. Performance, everything to very high. Rendering quality, ultra high, very high, or the best possible setting available. And here are the charts you get after running the Far Cry 2 benchmark. Here's the 1680 by 1050 ranch long loop. Best run was loop number 1 with 275 max frame rates, 138 average. Loop 2, average frame rate 137, max 260, minimum 84 frames a second. Loop 3, average 136, max 270, minimum 74.72, and the average final result, absolutely phenomenal, 137.37 average, 249.3 max, and a minimum of 83.25 frames a second on the Far Cry 2 benchmark. And finally, let's check out the 3D Mark Vantage benchmark using performance settings. As we go through the new calico scene of the Vantage benchmark, check out the top left corner of the screen. That's the quad SLI energy usage in watts. Peaked at about 945 watts, but averages between 850 to 900. So it's crucial you have a real good power supply if you're going to run this type of configuration. Also check out those GPU water blocks from Koolance. Look at that, 33 degrees with a 750 megahertz core clock. Absolutely wicked. Let's check out the results we get from this particular benchmark. Whoa! 37,947 performance points coming off this benchmark. 34,543 on the GPU. 53,874 on the CPU. That is just a phenomenal score coming off this particular quad SLI setup. The GTX 295 water-cooled in quad SLI configuration is definitely capable of producing phenomenal results. As you saw here today, water cooling and overclocking the GTX 295 from the stock core of 594 MHz through to a wicked 756 MHz produced explosive results during both game-based and synthetic benchmarks. However, do you really need all this hardware? Is this really required to run first-person shooter games like Crysis and Crysis Warhead, etc.? Do you consider this to be FTW or WTF? I think I'll leave you guys decide. Feel free to post your comments. As always, wish to thank you guys who really do post your comments on these videos as well as rate them, especially my subscribers. And don't forget, if you wish to stay up to date with the latest and greatest in gaming and PC hardware, feel free to subscribe.